Welcome to our channel, all friends. If you are new to my channel, please subscribe my channel and press the bell icon to stay update for new videos. Thanks. Let's start new video. I had been standing at the taxi stand for quite some time. Slowly, night was falling. My home was quite far from there, and I was thinking that if I could find a ride going in the direction of my house, it would make things easier for me. A couple of people did come up to talk to me, but I declined as their destinations were different from mine. At that moment, all I wanted was to get home. Some more time passed, and when I looked at the clock, it was midnight. I thought I'd wait for another half an hour. If I still didn't find a ride by then, I'd head home on my own. But I got lucky. Just 15 minutes later, a beautiful woman came near my taxi and said she needed a ride. I immediately smiled and looked at her from head to toe. She seemed to be around 35 to 40 years old, but looked incredibly beautiful and graceful. Her presence was soft and delicate. Seeing her stirred an uneasy feeling inside me. When I asked where she wanted to go, the place she mentioned wasn't in the direction of the house at all. But for some reason, I felt almost enchanted by her and agreed right away. I even quoted her double the fare. She agreed immediately, maybe because she was eager to get home at such a late hour. I helped her into my taxi and started driving. Every now and then, I'd glance back at her through the rearview mirror. She was clearly visible, engrossed in her mobile phone. I casually started a conversation and asked, "Madam, why are you heading to such a deserted area so late at night? That place doesn't have much of a population." The area she mentioned wasn't fully developed yet, only a few scattered houses here and there. She smiled and said, "That's where my house is. I was just visiting my sister here." I didn't say anything further, but I slowed the speed of the car a bit. She didn't say anything about that either and stayed focused on her phone. My eyes kept admiring her beauty through the mirror, and my emotions kept shifting. My wife had been staying at her parents' place for days now, and I was all alone. That loneliness was now burning inside me like fire. The devil was taking hold of me, and my gaze began to stray. I softly asked her, "Madam, don't you feel scared traveling alone this late at night?" She smiled and replied, "Not at all. I'm used to traveling alone. That's where my house is, so I have to go back and forth." I nodded in agreement and then deliberately turned off the car's air conditioner. Within moments, the car became warm and sweaty. She immediately asked with concern, "Why isn't the AC working?" I also pretended to be worried and replied, "I don't know. Maybe it's broken. It's been acting up for the past few days." She said, "Shall I roll down the window?" I refused and said, "The situation outside isn't safe, and this is a deserted route anyway, so it's better to keep the windows up. But if you want, you can remove your shawl to feel a bit cooler." At my suggestion, she took off her shawl and set it aside, then tied her hair up and began taking deep breaths. It was summer, and with the AC off, the car had gotten quite hot. The moment her shawl came off, my eyes began to quench their thirst. She was an incredibly beautiful woman, and I couldn't take my eyes off her. A little more time passed, and her entire outfit was soaked in sweat. Her body glistened from the moisture. I was in a similar condition myself, but the heat inside me was far greater than the heat outside. I looked at her and picked up a water bottle, offering it to her. "Madam, have some water. It's just a little while more before we arrive," I said. She took the bottle from my hand, and I deliberately brushed my fingers against hers. Her hands were extremely soft, smooth, and delicate. Without saying a word, she took the bottle and began sipping the water. Then she poured a little on her head, which made her clothes even wetter, revealing her beauty even more. At that moment, my wife came to my mind. Neither was she beautiful, nor did she possess such feminine charm. She had a very plain figure, one that I never liked. My mother had forced me to marry Noreen because she was my aunt's daughter. For me, she was just a forced wife. Noreen didn't know how to make me happy. Every time I went near her, she'd get nervous, move away, and sometimes even reject me outright. That's why my heart had turned cold toward her. I wanted a wife who would truly make me feel fulfilled. Ever since I got married to Noreen, I had become obsessed with beautiful women. Whenever I saw a pretty woman, my gaze would automatically fixate on her. Maybe because I wasn't finding such beauty and charm at home. And now the youth and beauty of this woman had completely taken over my mind. I was longing to quench my desire tonight, Besides, it had almost been a week since Noreen had gone to her parents' house, and she had no intention of returning anytime soon. She seemed to prefer her mother's home over mine. For the past 2 days, I had been asking her again and again to come back, but her only response was that she wanted to stay with her family. I didn't pressure her again either. Even if she had left now, what happiness would it have brought me? She loved her family far more than she loved me. As I kept driving, I saw that woman again, now sitting comfortably, leaning back against the seat with her eyes closed. Her beautiful presence was right before my eyes. Maybe she was in a light sleep, so I took advantage of the opportunity. Before reaching the area, there was a deserted taxi stand. I parked my car there so no one would suspect anything. After stopping the car, I turned off the AC and quietly moved to the back seats. At my movement, the woman's eyes opened, and she stared at me in shock and confusion. I quickly placed a finger on her lips and, leaning closer, said, "There's no need to worry. You were feeling hot, right? That's why I turned the AC on for you." She asked in surprise, "Why aren't you driving? My home is still far." Smiling, I traced my finger over her soft lips and said, "I want to spend some time with you. You're so beautiful, and I want tonight to be memorable for both of us." Slowly, I began teasing her through her damp clothes. I wasn't afraid at all that she might scream. There was no one around for miles, and the car windows were shut. As I played with the zipper of her shirt, I kept my gaze fixed on her beautiful face, and she stared back into my eyes. She didn't scream or make a scene. Gently, I slid her shirt off her shoulder and pressed my lips against her fair skin. To my utter surprise, despite everything happening, she neither resisted nor panicked. In fact, as I moved closer, she wrapped her arms tightly around my waist and began responding as if she had been waiting for this moment. She seemed even more restless and eager than I was. And before I could undress her, she had already undressed me. Her impatience delighted me further, and I thought tonight is going to be even more beautiful and unforgettable. The woman ran her hands slowly over my body, pulling me closer. She turned off the back seat lights. Then, as she leaned in, she quietly opened her purse. I didn't understand what she was doing, but the next moment the ground slipped from beneath my feet, because in her hand was a large dagger, and she plunged it into the lower part of my stomach. Suddenly, I saw a flash of red in her eyes. Even in the darkness, I could clearly see the hatred burning in them. Panicking, I tried to pull back, but she grabbed me tightly by the neck. "Where do you think you're going?" she hissed. "Finish what you started, and do it properly. You've been burning with desire, haven't you? Well, I want you to quench that fire, for both of us." As she spoke, she pressed the dagger deeper into my stomach, and a scream tore from my throat. "What the hell are you doing?" I snarled. "Pull that knife away." She laughed, her voice dripping with malice. "Oh, come closer. You love playing with young women, don't you? Thought you'd take advantage of my loneliness? Then why are you backing away now? Come, closer." The blade bit deeper, and I felt its sharp edge threatening to pierce right through me. Desperate, I scrambled backward, fumbling for the car door. The moment I managed to fling it open, I tumbled out onto the cold, hard ground. She stepped out after me, her face twisted into a devilish grin. "What's wrong? Why are you running? This is just the beginning." Her voice was eerily calm. "I know men like you, predators who prey on lonely women. Well, tonight you picked the wrong one." Before I could react, she lunged, slashing the dagger across my lower stomach. Pain exploded through me, and my screams ripped through the deserted night. I stumbled back, then turned and ran like a madman down the empty road, blood pouring from the wound. She chased me, relentless, her footsteps pounding behind me. I had never seen a woman so fearless, so unhinged. She moved like a demon, her breath hot on my neck. Blood gushed between my fingers as I clutched my stomach, my vision blurring. Noreen's face flickered in my mind. Gentle, soft-spoken Noreen, who had never raised her voice at me, who had always bowed her head in silence. Had I pushed her to this? Had my cruelty turned her into something else? The woman behind me laughed again, her voice slicing through the night. "You thought you could use me and walk away? Men like you deserve worse." I kept running, my legs weakening, until I finally reached a more populated area. The last thing I remember is the world spinning. Then darkness swallowed me whole. When I regained consciousness, I found myself in a hospital bed. The wound on my lower abdomen had been stitched and bandaged. My wife and mother stood by my side, their faces etched with worry. The moment I opened my eyes, I began screaming in panic. My mother pulled me into a tight embrace while Noreen held my hand. Both tried to calm me, assuring me everything was okay now. After a few moments, I steadied myself and looked at them with confusion. "Who brought me here? How did you both get to the hospital?" I asked, my voice hoarse. My mother replied, "A kind stranger called us. He said you'd been attacked and that he was bringing you to the hospital. So we rushed here immediately with Noreen. The police have already found your car, and they've got some leads on the woman who attacked you." She paused, her eyes searching mine. "Beta, who was she? Why would a woman attack you in the middle of the night?" Noreen's gaze was heavy with suspicion. "She was some crazy woman," I stammered. "I thought she needed a ride, but she turned on me. That's all I know." I fed them a half-truth, just enough to ease their concern. They began praying for my safety, their voices trembling. Soon the police arrived and asked my family to step outside. The inspector leaned in, his tone sharp. "Tell me the truth, not the story you gave your mother and wife. I'm neither your mother nor your wife to believe your lies." I swallowed hard. "We've pulled CCTV footage from nearby areas," he continued. "We have a clear shot of her face. But you tell me, why did she attack you?" His voice was so commanding that I couldn't bring myself to lie. In a defeated whisper, I confessed, I had bad intentions. I tried to take advantage of her loneliness, but she turned the tables on me." The inspector slid a few photos toward me. "Is this the woman?" I immediately nodded in confirmation. How the police had obtained her photos, I had no idea. The officer's voice was stern. "An FIR has already been registered against you. The case will proceed, but honestly, I think you are far guiltier than she is." His words sent a chill down my spine. "Inspector Sahib, please drop this case," I pleaded. "If this goes public, my reputation—" "It's too late," he cut in. "The FIR is official now. My hands are tied." He leaned closer, lowering his voice. "As for that woman, you're not her first victim, but she never attacks unprovoked. Every man she's targeted had the same filthy intentions as you, trying to exploit a woman's vulnerability. She teaches them lessons. But this time it's gone too far. The case will go to court. Sooner or later, we will arrest her." With that, he left, leaving me trembling. If this went to trial, my depravity would be exposed to the world. I was paralyzed with fear. By evening, I was discharged. At home, Noreen broke down in tears, clinging to my arm. "This is my fault," she sobbed. "You told me to come home, but I didn't listen. If I'd been there, you wouldn't have been standing at that taxi stand so late." Her innocence gutted me. The fault wasn't hers, it was mine. Flashbacks surged. Our wedding night, when I'd scorned her, saying her body lacked feminine grace. The creams I'd shoved into her hands. Whitening lotions, curvature enhancers, as if she were a project to fix. I'd never shown her love, only critique. Every touch of mine came with a critique of her stretch marks, her softness. No wonder she'd started fleeing to her parents' house. No wonder she flinched when I reached for her. I'd made my own wife fear my presence, and now the universe had sent a woman with a dagger to mirror the wounds I'd inflicted. My obsession with other beautiful women had grown uncontrollable, and I had grown utterly disinterested in my own wife. Now, because of that very weakness, I found myself trapped in this nightmare. The case was about to go to court, and I had no idea what awaited me. So before it was too late, I folded my hands in front of Noreen and begged, "Forgive me. I've always treated you poorly, humiliated you." Maybe that's why this is happening to me now. Noreen immediately grabbed my hands and said, "I know what happened to you was wrong. You wanted a beautiful, youthful woman. But you got a wife like me. But this isn't my fault. My body's the way it naturally is. Even if I wanted to, I couldn't change it. I've begged Amma so many times to let me see a doctor, but she always says, after childbirth, your body will balance itself. A woman changes completely after having a baby. So I've been waiting for the day I get pregnant, waiting to finally become worthy of you." Tears streamed down her face as she spoke, and it hit me just how much pain I had put her through. For a woman, hearing that she is somehow incomplete is unbearable, and yet she had endured it all without complaint. I pulled her into my arms and whispered, "I realize my mistake now. It was never about your body. It was my own twisted mind. A woman's heart matters far more than her appearance. You've always cared for my mother, remained loyal, looked after our home. That's your real beauty." A faint smile touched her lips as she hugged me tightly. "Don't worry," she said softly. "Everything will be okay." But how could I tell her the truth? My real fear wasn't about us. It was about her, that woman. What would she say in court? A week later, the day of the hearing arrived. I didn't want Noreen or Amma there, so I sternly forbade them from coming. Alone with my lawyer, I entered the courtroom. Then they brought her in, and when she spoke, my eyes filled with tears. The woman stood in the witness box, tears streaming down her face as she spoke. "My husband passed away, leaving me to survive alone in this cruel world. Forced to work, I quickly learned how society's wolves prey on women like me. Everywhere I went, men saw my loneliness as an invitation, so I started carrying a dagger. Whenever one of them tried to exploit me, I made sure they'd never dare harass another woman again." Her voice trembled with rage. "People ask, why do you travel alone? Why live without a man? But tell me, Your Honor, is a woman's solitude a crime? My parents are dead. My siblings married. I work to feed myself. Does that mean every predator has the right to tear me apart?" She turned her fiery gaze toward me. This taxi driver was lucky to escape. Had I not hesitated, he'd have lost more than just blood. He'd have lost his manhood forever. What I did was self-defense. If this court punishes me, then punish every man who leers at widows, at working women, at daughters traveling alone. The courtroom fell silent. Trembling, I stood. "I confess, I'm guilty." The judge's eyebrows shot up. That night, I saw her vulnerability and thought only of my lust. But she's right. Our society is full of wolves like me. Punish me instead. The woman stared, stunned. Then quietly she said, "I forgive him. Not because he deserves it, but because he's the first to admit the truth. If he changes, maybe others will too." Case dismissed. I returned home and embraced Noreen, truly embraced her for the first time. Her body wasn't perfect, but her heart was. She'd cared for my mother, our home, for me despite my cruelty. That other woman? She'd already suffered enough. Why had I tried to bury her in more pain? Why must a woman's solitude make her a target? Why do we call men protectors when so many are predators? Have you, yes, you reading this, ever faced the weight of a stare, a whisper, a hand where it shouldn't be? The system won't change overnight, but I did. The woman crying said that her husband had passed away, and she had been living alone in great distress. Out of necessity, she started working, but the wolves of society made it difficult for her to live. Whenever someone got the chance, they tried to tear apart her dignity. That's why she started keeping a dagger with her. Whenever a man looked at her with ill intentions or tried to exploit her youth, she would wound him in such a way that his masculinity would be diminished. Many people ask her why she lives alone and why she travels alone, implying that's why bad things happen to her. But I want to ask you, Your Honor, is it a sin for a woman to live alone? I have no husband, my parents are dead, and all my siblings are married. I live alone out of necessity, work out of necessity, and travel alone out of necessity. Does that mean that the wolves of society have come to prey on my existence? The taxi driver was lucky to escape me. Otherwise, I might have wounded him in such a way that he would lose his masculinity for life. Everything I did was in self-defense because he attacked me first. If this court punishes me, then it must also punish every man in our society who looks at women like me with filthy intentions. Saying this, the woman fell silent in tears, and tears began to flow from my eyes. In the past few days, I had realized my mistakes, and today I understood how I had been an abuser towards an innocent and oppressed woman. I confessed my crime before the judge so that this woman would not be punished and that men like me would be held accountable for their wrongdoings. Not only was the woman astonished by my confession, but she also forgave me. She said that in this society, it is not just a few, but 90% of men who seek to take advantage of lonely women. If I wanted to correct my mistake, she was ready to forgive me. Upon her forgiveness, the court was dismissed, and I returned home. As soon as I arrived home, I embraced Noreen. Now I had to live a good life with my wife. Sometimes we men only consider physical beauty as beauty. We fail to see the pure and transparent heart of a woman, no matter how lovely it is. Although Noreen was not physically beautiful, the way she took care of my home and my mother made her undoubtedly a very complete and beautiful woman. And the woman I wanted to exploit had already endured immense suffering. Why did I want to make her the target of my lust and completely ruin her life? Is every woman who lives alone, struggles alone, and travels alone not safe in our society? Do you also think that today's women should not live alone because only wolves remain in the name of men? As a woman, have you ever faced body shaming or harassment?